Hello, my name is Dante De Niro, and this is my Lab 4 deliverable. We'll start by kind of just going over the version management, change management kind of stuff that I was doing. So I created a new directory just so I can put all my important files within a single directory instead of just uploading an entire directory by itself. It makes it a little easier for me to choose which files are important and what are not. So this is where git init is being initialized and what is being updated to my GitHub page. So if you go here, basically just do a git add. This will add everything from that directory, and then you can do a git commit, which will you can add a tag to whatever version it is. So I'm on version 3, for example, and then you just do a git push origin to main. And then you'll enter username and password. So my password is just my pat personal access token, I believe is what it is, which is just basically how you connect to the GitHub page itself. And then here you can see that all my different configuration files from that specific directory are added to my GitHub page. So now moving on to the monitoring solution. So I'm basically just enabling a redirect here to my Grafana page. So if you click, monitoring, it will just redirect you here to the Grafana page, and you can see last 30 days, 90 days, whatever. You'll see the information here. Again, if you don't get redirected, I added this little, blurb, kind of a catch-all, so just in case you don't get redirected automatically, you could also click here. This will also take you to the same page. Everything's running on a Flask application, so this is all my SSH login information. This is the monitoring page you just saw. That will take you to this HTML, and then so you just redirected here after 2 seconds or whatever. So that's the monitoring solution. So we'll go to save config next. So how I'm saving my golden configs is this kind of function here, basically just identifying from the above information this stuff here, kind of my SSH login. Where was I? So kind of grab that information, log in, just do a show running config, and then save that to a file with a timestamp. So if I go golden configs, you'll see if I go to save configs here, press R1, it'll save with most recent timestamp to this directory here, and this will be this new one right here. So basically they're all the same. I'll just keep saving every new config file. You only really need to do this once. Every time you kind of update, you can kind of delete the old golden configs. But yeah, it's basically just doing a show running config, grabbing all of that config, and then saving it to a file here. That's kind of needed in order to do the other things because they kind of rely off of that configuration file. So now if I do templatize configuration, it'll grab R1. This will look for the most recent timestamps using glob, I think is the function the module I used. So you can convert it to YAML and then generate the template. So this will save that YAML file here first, and then that will read from that. It'll read this YAML file that was saved based off of the golden config. And then it will templatize that. So it will then create a template based off of that information. So this is the J2 file, and that logic again is kind of in here. So this is convert to YAML, so this will be initialized when I press the template button. So I'm grabbing that template information, reading it from a file, or reading that golden config file, using glob to find the most recently dated one, and then converting that into a template here. So that will kind of like utilize this. It'll send to this, grab that information, and then save that to a file. So yeah, this is kind of just some more logic here to generate the different templates. So I'm basically just using this Jinja2 or Jinja2 from YAML, which is defined up here. That will basically create my template for me. And then moving on to configuring devices. So here you can select a different device or whatever device you want. Click OSPF. So say I just want to configure OSPF here. I have select loopback, but I don't have to enter an IP address. So if I want to do OSPF area 0, we'll do this thing I was testing, 0.25. And if I configure that, this is the configuration that will be sent, again, using something like NetMiko. And then if I go on R1, you'll see that that new network is now added to the OSPF process of 100. I kind of hard-coded OSPF 100 just for now. I might be able to make that a little bit more dynamic. It'll just, another request type of thing. So this is the kind of the logic it's following here. I'll show you the HTML in a second. So just grabbing the area, network, and the mask from the HTML page itself, and then appending that command, and then sending it via NetMiko. So this would work again with RIP and then BGP if I wanted to do those two things. And again, if I want to select interface or change the IP address of an interface, I can also do that. So if I look at config here, this is taking this information here, creating an input type, allowing me to input information that will then be saved to these functions, and then I can utilize that information in order to build a configuration and then send it to the different devices. So yeah, I can kind of go over, I guess, a little more of the templatization. So taking this YAML file, stripping it, adding these blank dictionaries, and then I'm reading the different lines and then placing them into the respective format, essentially. And then I'm taking this YAML file that this creates and creating the different templates with it. So yeah, that was my Lab 4 deliverable. Thank you for listening.